Hey, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Quit Your Bitchin' podcast. I'm your host, Ian, and with me always is my confidant, my good friend, my tonto, they might say, Nick Harrell.
I'm Nick Harrell, everybody, co-host here at Quit Your Bitchin'. I'm the Robin to his Batman.
I would say you're more the Alfred to my Batman, but that's fine.
I'm the Brick to his Ron Burgundy.
You're the small dog that You're Cheddar to Ron Burgundy, his small pet dog.
I'm just the pleats in his pants.
You're the perfect crease to my slacks, Nick. That's what you'll always be.
I'm glad you think so highly of me.
We wanted to cover some stuff. This is day 27 of quarantine. If you're like me and the government has said that your job is non-essential, I'm pretty sure that party clowns worked longer than I did. I was shut down pretty quickly since I think March 6th I've been out of work. So if you're like me, cabin fever has set in. I've started making my own soap knives. And I've been doing push-ups I'm pretending that my door is a cell. I've been sitting inside my room doing push-ups, walking back and forth, pretending that guards are passing by. It's getting a little nuts, but we're making it work. I
heard you were literally paying your girlfriend's dad to come and unlock your bedroom door at 12:30 in the afternoon every single day just to let you out on the yard.
Yard time is essential during this lockdown. I go into the backyard. I do circles around the backyard. I do push-ups. I have the prison weights out there. I have a little handball court, and I've been starting rumors against the other races to keep everything going smooth.
I just keep hearing your girlfriend in the background yelling, "Stop calling me Selly."
Selly, that's always a good call. Today, and this is another thing. People have been sending us comments. Me and Nick are not in the same room as we do this.
Yeah.
So we are very Corona appropriate. I know that everyone has been concerned about how close me and Nick are. We're actually, I've said this before, but Nick's in LA and I am in the Bay Area. So I think we are fine on the guidelines of Corona. So all of you need to stop bitching about that because it's pissing me off. And also, let me tell you this. Stop going to the fucking beach. Because this is just getting out of hand. I don't understand. It's making me physically angry when I see people still at the beach right now. How do you not get this? How do you not understand that now? If I see more than 3 people, I'm getting kind of angry. There's literally people on my Instagram that are like, oh, we're having a pizza party. And there's 9 people there. I'm like, you 9 people better live in that house. Or all 9 of you better have Corona. And you guys better be in a quarantine. We're trying to keep people away from each other party. Because this is ridiculous. I don't understand how people are still out doing stuff. If you have to go to the store, got to get a coffee. I went to the liquor store yesterday. Let me tell you something. When you go to the liquor store, that's a necessity. I understand. We're all we're a little too close in the liquor store because hell, there's no room in a liquor store. This isn't Walmart. So I can understand. No one has gloves. No one has masks on. Everyone's touching everything. But, yeah, I needed stuff and I needed to go to the liquor store. So, but that's fine. That's almost that's Switzerland. That's neutral zone. But don't go to the park with your family. Don't go to the beach. People are on hikes. If everyone was on a hike right now, there must be no room out there because everyone's hiking.
Can I share something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
My friend showed me this article yesterday of a surfer in Malibu literally getting arrested because you're not supposed to be at the beach. And there's literally a video of him trying to paddle away from the lifeguard in the ocean to evade this citation ticket. People don't get it, dude. Stay the fuck in your house. Figure it out. Everyone's doing it. Everyone wants to be outside, dude. You're not the only one with cabin fever. Just suck it up.
I've found myself when I'm out in public, which is very rare that I'm out in public. that I can look at someone in the eyes and I'm like, you have corona. Like I can just like I feel like in my heart I can tell who has corona and who doesn't have corona. And it's funny because when I walk into a line, like look, this is going to sound so mean and I'm already like if you have kids listening to this, close their ears. We all assume all homeless people have corona. That's just an assumption. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to be rude. But when I look at someone who's homeless with 19 blankets and a shopping cart and they just look like they're about to keel over, I'm assuming that's corona that's causing that. It's not alcoholism. It's not years and years of drug abuse. It's not whatever you think it is. It's corona. And that's what I'm going to assume for like the next 4 years of when this pandemic is over. Like I'm going to assume that everybody around me who looks a little bit more low class than me has corona. And that's just what it's going to be. I'm sorry. Judge me. I don't care. Just judge me. It's fine.
Look, it's a safe bet, you know? You don't know what's going on with those people. Also, you can't exactly expect them to be kept up on the news. You know? You don't really see a lot of you don't see a lot of homeless people with the Yahoo News app on their Android, iPhone, whatever they have.
I've stopped
They don't
giving
know what's
money to
going
homeless
on.
people. Most homeless people now have iPhones. Honestly, a lot of homeless people have iPhones. And I'm
Where
not
are you
joking with
seeing
you.
homeless people?
San Francisco, dude. There is a homeless dude that I used to walk by to go to work every day, and he had his Bluetooth headphones on, watching Netflix, laying down. He had 2 cats on him, and he was just watching Netflix with a little sign that said "Money for the Poor," and his phone was plugged into some outlet on the street. And I thought to myself, dude, this is ridiculous. If I'm going to give a homeless person money, they need to be,
Disheveled.
This sounds bad, but they need to be looking like death is on their doorstep. Like if you want money from me, you can't look almost like you just got some new clothes from the Goodwill. Like you can't have cooler sneakers on than me. Like you
They
can't
have the
be
Jordan
sitting there-
9s.
Yeah,
Panhandling
you can't
for
be
money.
with a thing of noodles in your mouth as it looks like you're going to go back to your sheltered home. No, you need to look like life has just flipped you over like a pancake over and over again and you are just defeated. Like that sounds real bad, but I need to look at you and not be able to see human life in your eyes anymore. And then I will give you $1. But I'm not giving $1.
The hopelessness and despair needs to be visible in your eyeballs.
Exactly. Like, especially, you know what? And I've found myself, I was in line In-N-Out the other day, and I bought a dude who was sitting on the side of the curb. It said hungry and hopeless, like whatever sign. I bought him food. I bought him a whole meal because he looked genuinely like he was. Okay, this is how I judge a homeless person. If you look like you're in an episode of Duck Dynasty, then I assume that you're the homeless person that actually needs something. But if you don't look like you just got off the set of Duck Dynasty, I'm not giving you any money because it looks like you're totally fine.
Yeah.
This guy looked like he was on season 4 of Duck Dynasty. Like he was just making a wooded bird collar and he was just sitting there with 3 suitcases, all of them, none of them matched. So I also knew he was super homeless because none of his luggage looked like it was together like a set. So I bought him food because he actually looked like he needed it. But obviously, I took the precautions. I had a separate bag for him. I didn't touch anything that I gave. You know what I mean? He didn't reach into my car. It's not a safari tour. But so the corona is it's just crazy to me. Like now people are starting to be like doctors are being like, brace yourselves. The next 6 days will be the hardest. I'm pretty sure the last 3 weeks have been the hardest. So, I mean, if things start to get a little worse, then I don't know what's going to happen. You saw in the news yesterday that tigers have it. I don't know if you saw that in the news, but 4 tigers at the Bronx Zoo now have the coronavirus. So, I guess your dog Pebbles can now get it.
That's what I was wondering. Like, what's the transmission rate for animals and house pets, you know? Because...
Well... people were saying that dogs and cats and animals can't get it. So now I'm worried, like, is my fish going to get corona? Like, if I've been taking my fish on walks every day. He just goes around with me in my little bowl and we just walk around the park. And so now is he going to get corona? Like, what's the dealio here?
Don't let any homeless people cough on him. Okay, I was going to say something real quick. Homeless people having iPhones is the funniest shit to me because you have to be such a, like, out of touch yuppie to think, oh, let me help this poor homeless man. I have a spare iPhone to give him. Why not sell that for money or buy him a meal? Like, what kind of idiot?
Well, no, if you go into the Tenderloin in the city, there's tents where there's like dudes with like tents and a table, which is like you sign up. I think it's like how they track like the amount of people is by giving them like phones. I don't know exactly how it works, and I might sound completely ignorant and stupid, but there's signs all over like this tent down in the Tenderloin where like there'll be like young guys who thought their dreams of being salesmen were going to actually happen, and now here they are giving free phones to homeless people. But there's lines of homeless people getting like a new phone, and I don't know if there's like minutes on it. I don't know if it's some part of some government program. I don't really know how it works, but they are giving out phones to people. I honestly think it's how they track people, and that's going to sound like, oh, that's conspiracy, but I think that's how they can ping off these homeless people's phones because they're not signing anything. They don't have, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not exactly like registered in a lot of places. Well, I wonder too.
So
I wonder too if it's like a way to help them get jobs. You know, it's kind of hard to get a job if you don't have an address, if you don't have a phone, if you don't have a way to do anything online or make and receive phone calls. So maybe it is a government program.
It might be some part of some project. So yeah, big cats can, it's kind of weird. Right after Tiger Kings, they find out that now tigers can get corona. Like, I think it's a little played out now. Like, let's just be honest here. The big cats had their spotlight. They had their time to shine. We were enticed by the big cat. We loved it. Now just go away. I don't need to hear about big cats getting corona. Now you're just bringing me down. You left me on a high. You left me on something that I was stoked every time I got to talk about it. Now you're bringing sadness. Now when I think of tigers, I think of dying and sadness, which I'm sure is what they wanted you to think from the documentary, because I guess they were killing all the cats after they were done petting them after they were like 8 weeks old. But now I'm thinking about them getting sick. So now that's great. So I guess animals can get corona. That's a whole nother layer to it. It also seems like New York City is like the mecca for like death right now.
It seems pretty intense over there.
Yeah, that's a sad topic. I think Nick lives in LA once again. I live near San Francisco. So like New York's obviously more people than those two places, but we're like more people congested, obviously. But we live in pretty big areas, and I don't think anything severe like how this is. You know what I mean out there. So I think what I've been doing lately is I've just been watching all of the movies that I've always said to myself, I don't have 2 hours to waste my life. So I rewatched every Fast and the Furious movie in a row together. I didn't watch Tokyo Drift because I'm not poor, and those are the ones that are just like on demand free. So I'm not going to watch that crap.
Yeah, that was kind of Fast and the Furious 2 is probably the worst. Tokyo Drift in close second. All the rest of them are pretty good. Number 1 is killer.
You know, people really shit on Fast and the Furious, and I just don't understand how, because Fast and the Furious, the whole movie, I'm entertained. I'm not saying it's the greatest movie of all time, and I'm not saying that I love it, like, to the point where I'm like, let me tell my kid, but like, when I'm sorry, but there is something about Vin Diesel saying, it's all about family. And then like Paul Walker being like, I just love your sister so much. And then Lenny being like, I died and I lost my memory, but now I'm back and all forgiven. There's just something about that trilogy where I'm just like, there's just something about it that just brings me joy. And it's just something where like, why would I want to watch something that doesn't bring me joy? And Fast and the Furious brings me more joy than anything else. And
That's
then
great.
you're going to bring in The Rock. And then The Rock's going to be like, the best part is I watched Fast and the Furious 6 or 7 last night. And the best part about it is after like, it's the first episode where they introduce The Rock. And he's like this, for those who haven't seen it, spoiler alert, The Rock is like this badass cop, which I don't even understand like what branch of the army or the military or like the police he is.
Yeah, it's a little
maybe he's, like,
ambiguous.
yeah, like I don't know if he's like the CIA or like some black ops group or something, but he goes to Brazil, pretty much blows up everything in Brazil, and then at the end of the movie, because the bad guy shoots like all of his like team, he's just like, you know what? Now I'm going to help you destroy Brazil and steal all the money. And so you're just like, well, so now The Rock can be bought? Like, what's going on here? Now The Rock can be, I guess The Rock does have a price, and it's kill everyone he loves. And then The Rock will do anything you want.
Look, I feel like if you're directing a movie and The Rock is in it, you can't make him the bad guy the whole time. Like, no one wants that. Everyone wants to root for The Rock. Because outside of film, he's a good dude. People love him. He's got
The Rock wasn't really the bad guy.
Right. But he was against the good guy at first. And then when they switched him, everyone was probably way happier that The Rock and Vin Diesel are, somewhat on the same team. It's a good marketing ploy. You want that.
That's the thing with those kind of movies that I always have wondered, because when people say, well, the bad guy, well, there were actual bad guys.
Right.
So
it was
when
like
I'm
the cartel,
watching a
right?
movie, it was the cartel who had bought off like literally they had bought off everyone in Brazil. The police guarded their money. Like it didn't shine very brightly on Brazil. But then again, what movie does shine bright on Brazil and makes Brazil look like a great place?
Yeah.
Like name me a movie where they're like, hey, let's go down to South America and like let's make it look like a good place to live.
I mean, it's a beautiful place and like the culture is beautiful, but
I've been to South America.
A lot of corruption. That's true. You went to Peru and Chile, yeah?
There was only one point in the entire trip where we were going to almost get robbed. And that was a friend's fault of mine, which I won't say on air. But it was definitely like a situation where he was like, come back to my apartment. I have money. I have women. I have guns. Like, let's do this. And it was like 3 a.m. at a strip mall. And I was like, no, we're definitely not going to do this. That was the only time that we had ever like actually seen trouble. There were other times.
And in your defense, the friend was like, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, exactly. That out of 8 dudes, he was the one dude who was like, guns, money, power in Brazil. Let's do this. No, and so with those movies, though, I always find it interesting when you are watching a movie where you're rooting for someone to do a crime. Like, the entire Fast and the Furious franchise is based off crime and based off running from the law and making it look cool. And, like, I think Vin Diesel, or what's his name? Donnie, or whatever his name is in the movie.
It's Dominic
Trello, or whatever his name is. He breaks out of prison like 3 times in the series.
Yeah.
And the best part of it is that like you're just like, that's so cool, breaking out of prison. He breaks out of a transport bus. Like one of the main characters in the movie like was an FBI agent who was like the best in the world and just decides, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm gonna commit crimes and marry the daughter of like one of the best crime bosses out there. Like I find that funny because you're rooting for them, and then like The Rock comes in and you're like, well, The Rock is like, you know, he's just a bull. But like, you can't even say I hate The Rock, because then you're like, now I'm really just rooting for all evil. Like,
That's
the whole
what I'm
movie.
saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why they got to make him a good guy. Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting point. And you know, I feel like the movies, you could probably agree with this, but they just like, they've got incrementally more ridiculous every single movie. Like the first one wasn't that ridiculous. Like it wasn't outlandish, you know. They were street racing and they were pulling jobs on the side, you know. They were like robbing semi trucks and stuff as a crew, and you know, but it's all believable. And so in that regard, you're like, oh yeah, it's badass that, you know, these group of people are really good at working on cars, and then they race them illegally on the street, you know, like they're not hurting anybody. But then by like the third and fourth movie, they're like, yeah, robbing vaults in South America, and like they're taking out the cartel and stuff. And you're like, I mean, I guess I'm still rooting for them.
And the best part too is like, I think it's in like number 7 or 8, they get like an American pardon. So they like get pardoned from every crime they've ever committed. So they went from like Interpol and like the CIA's like most wanted criminals to being like, nope, you can come back to America, have a normal life, like drive your kids to school in a minivan. Like, it's no big deal. And then like Dominic's just always just like, I have to like follow the chase on some island. He's like on some island that you've never heard of, but somehow he got a muscle car onto that island. And you're just like, how would you get this like old school Mustang? Like, how did you get this on this island that literally uses coconuts as currency?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Somehow you got all the parts to ship there and soup it up on this like nowhere island in the Bahamas. You're like, no, dude. You don't have like a 69 Mustang out there.
You're one of the America and the world's like number one criminals, and somehow you guys have 7 exotic cars, like just on the island racing from side to side.
Yeah, no, dude. There's a narrative term for like when you just give the main characters the easiest way out, you know, like you come back in the third movie and the president has just pardoned them of everything, and you're like, what?
I just love to, because I honestly think how they make Fast and the Furious movies is they started off being like, hey, you know, racing's cool. We're going to fix some cars. It's going to be a badass movie that dudes are going to go to. And then afterwards, they're going to take their Honda Acuras and they're going to like peel out of the movie theater parking lot. And then like on number 3, the dude who created them, I don't even know who the director is, but he was just like, you know, guys, when we make number 4, let's start adding like some car flips out of like the 3rd story building. And then can we like get in like a train somehow? And like, let's make it a little bit like less about racing and just a little bit more about like what government agency that no one's ever heard of can we start like, and then number 8 came and they're like, so we have this premise. We're going to pitch it to you. A car is going to go off of the 87th floor into another skyscraper on the 87th floor, and then somehow from that they're gonna be able to like get the car out of the building, and then we're gonna include like maybe a warlord from a country no one's ever heard of, and we're also gonna bring in an operative agency that no one's ever heard of, and they're all gonna fight over like some super chip. And you're just like, that sounds about right. People are gonna eat that up. People are going to love that. That's
like a logical extension of just a group of auto body mechanics racing in the desert once a year.
And this coronavirus, people haven't realized, but if you're like me, the coronavirus has, I mean, it's killed tons of people, and a lot of people are battling for their lives, and there's nothing funny about that. But the coronavirus did push back Fast and the Furious 9. It was scheduled to come out in June of this year, and now it's been pushed back 1 year. So, Corona, you have done it again. You have really fucked my day up. Someone like me who has really little to live for looks forward to things like that. And the fact that the coronavirus swoops away another chance for me to watch Lenny and Dominic and Ludacris and everyone that I love race on the street. God knows what streets they're going to be racing on this time. I think they've destroyed every country.
Yeah.
So they're going to be like in Antarctica.
They're
like
going to be in
racing.
Russia next. They probably didn't do Russia yet because Triple X, also Vin Diesel, already fucked up Russia.
I love that one. I also loved in the trip. Well, that's also one of the movies I wanted to watch was Triple X because I love that like from like Triple X 1, no one is really talking about how it was a black dude, and then it goes into Vin Diesel being Triple X.
Was it
And
really?
you're just like, yeah, I think the first I'm not gonna speak out of like and be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Ice Cube or someone like that was Triple X, the series.
No way.
Hold on. Triple X State of the Union was Ice Cube. Yeah. So
Okay.
2005 release.
That was
Ice Cube.
That was after the first one though, with Vin Diesel.
Oh, you're right. No.
Yeah.
You're
Triple
right.
X
You're
was
right.
2002.
You're right.
Yeah.
Well,
And
it
then
doesn't matter.
Ice Cube was number 3.
They
Return
go
of Xander
from-
Cage, dude. That sounds like Xander Cage sounds like a character off Real Bros of Simi Valley.
Yeah, exactly. But the fact that no one's gonna say anything from it going from like a Vin Diesel character to Ice Cube is almost like that's just so funny that one day.
It's like James Bond, you know, like once James Bond dies, you can get another 00 agent. You know, I think that's the idea. But
It's almost like if you're watching John Wick 4 and Dave Chappelle walks out and you're just like, what happened to Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
Who changed it?
no one wants this now that he's not in it. Like Dave Chappelle. Oh man, that would be hilarious. But
one thing I wanted to talk about and I wanted to touch on because I thought it was absolutely incredibly amazing to me that there are stories going around that in Venice, besides the water being clear and there's no boats on it and swans have appeared, apparently 60 years ago, there used to be dolphins in these canals. And the fact that there was dolphins, first of all, that is the most random place to me personally that I would ever be like, let me see some dolphins in the canals of Italy. Like, if you, like, let's be honest here though. When I think of romantic animals, what comes to mind?
swans.
Swans are the first thing that come to mind for me. Then, are dolphins almost like a close second? Because when I think of, okay, so maybe you think of teddy bears, but they're not real animals. But I'm saying like when I think of romantic animals, dolphins aren't that far off in the grand scheme of things. I mean, once again, Italy, the most ridiculous place for me to be like, I was on the canal and I was on the bridge and I was proposing to my girlfriend who loves dolphins and swans, and look, this place has both. Like, that's just ridiculous to me. But I mean, if way to go Venice, because I mean Venice is really like, they have locked down, hey, we're the definition of romance. Do you love swans? Do you love dolphins? Because we got fucking both. And you don't even need to go to the beach for these things. You could be on a bridge deep in the middle of Venice. And you're just thinking to yourself, oh, so you have aquariums full. Nope. Our canals just have tons of dolphins in them. That is just like,
How much of those dolphins do you think just came into the canals one day and then they just got stuck in the maze of the canals and then they couldn't ever leave?
Okay, so I've never been to Venice, and I probably will never go to Venice, so I'm not really like, I don't know much about it. But like these people's pictures of dolphins outside of their like houses on the water, these dolphins look pretty happy, and there's a good amount of them. So I don't know, like my first thought when I thought about this was Venice just drove in a bunch of dolphins in like a semi truck and dumped them in the water just to like make these people stop thinking about the horrible things going on in their life, because they were just like, we need some good press. And then somebody up top was like, I got it. I'm going to go down to the farm. I'm going to get some swans. We're going to put them on the water. Things are going to go back to normal. And then when things didn't go back to normal, he's like, God damn it, man. Why couldn't you think of a better idea? And he's like, I got it. We're going to have swans and we're going to have dolphins. And he was just like, this is why you've been promoted. Yeah. Like, this is
like Trump's ideas give everyone a stimulus check, and the Italian president is like, put dolphins in the canals, dude. Load Venice up.
The Italian president was just like, so we're going to give $800 to each person in Italy, right? No. I've actually already spent the whole check. We're going to give them all dolphins in the canals. What? Like, that is your stimulus check, is the enjoyment of seeing dolphins for the first time in 60 years. Like, these people, I'm not joking though, in these articles, these people are genuinely stoked. Like, this is the first bit of happiness. Like, maybe Trump did it wrong. Maybe I don't want $1,200. Maybe I want dolphins in my local, like, ponds around wherever I live.
Yeah, he just dumps sea life into all the Great Lakes.
Like,
puts new fish into every river.
I don't even know.
There's just giant sea turtles in every domestic pool.
I want more wildlife. Like, I already know wildlife has already been coming way too close to people, and people are freaking the fuck out. Like, there's so many people on Nextdoor and like all these things being like, saw a cougar the other day getting real close to my house. Like, yeah, that's what happens. Like, wildlife is trying to take back the world. Like, when like the people out there are not realizing that the wildlife is continuing to grow. I mean, it's something that I didn't think about when I was thinking about this pandemic. Like, hey, 2 months where everyone's inside, like, is wildlife just going to remain dormant and not try to like do anything? No, they're going to keep trying to move forward. I think the only state that's going to remain exactly the same is Alaska, because I mean, Alaska's already, America, like, civilization is never going to conquer Alaska. Like, Alaska's always going to win. Like, whenever I watch anything about Alaska, it's just America being like, we're trying to conquer this place. And then Alaska's like, no, you're fucking not. We're good. We have this. Mm-hmm. Like, it's always like every show. I'm obsessed with every Alaska bush people show, because it's just some 50-year-old farmer who's just like, every year Alaska takes one of my family members, and yet I'm still here, and I will never give up until they take me. And just like
he's not even wearing clothes. He's just wearing moose pelts.
He's just like, farmers came to Alaska, and people that came were just like, we are going to settle here. We have conquered Alaska. And then Alaska's like, no, I'm going to give you 30 days of night. And then let's see how you fucking deal with that. Yeah. And then after I give you 30 days of night, I'm just going to keep sending bears your way. Yeah. And then America was just like, let's build civilization super far apart so we can only get to them by snowmobile or airplane. And then Alaska's like, all right, I'm just going to keep hitting you with storms and storms and storms. And
oh, do you like wolf packs? We'll have some of those for you too.
It's like the only place in America where you're just like, I have to get to my next town with avoiding the wolf packs and storm and a grizzly bear and hunger. Like, it's just like, it's so ridiculous to me every time. Like, during this quarantine, I have watched like every single Alaskan show that anyone has, and it's so sad, because I want to be like, why don't you people just move? Yeah. Just like, leave this place that is killing your family and taking everything you love. Like, it always starts like every season, you're just like, It's just like, my name's Faith, and I've been a cattle farmer for 3 years in Alaska, and we only have 6 months until winter hits. Like, why are you doing this to yourself?
Like, to me, that sounds like you have 6 months to get the heck out of there, dude.
And she's just like, we can't go outside in the winter. Like, summer's the only time, and we spend the entire summer, like, working 24 hours straight to get ready for the harshest winter we've ever seen. And I'm just like, move to Detroit if you want to suffer. Like, why do you do this to yourself?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many places in America where you could just be like, I'm going to move to Arkansas where there is no horrible winters, but I can still live like my life is garbage. Like, I just don't understand. Like, there's just so many places that I'd rather live before Alaska. Like,
I feel like the Russians are just in their own country. Like, I've never even seen the sun. It's so cold here. And y'all are bitching about some moose.
Yeah, you know, another thing I watched during this quarantine is I watched Chernobyl.
Oh,
and I was
such a
just
good
like,
show.
I was just like, even though I know this was either like this happened, whatever, I'm never going to step foot in that place. Like, I want nothing to do with anything where that's what happened. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't pay me enough, like, to live in Russia. Like, there's so many places, like Alaska, oh man, it would take so much, and you would have to give me so much to make me live in Alaska. Like, I can't believe people move there by choice.
I know.
Like, I can't believe people take cruises to Alaska and they're just like, hey man, I'm paying to go to Alaska for 6 days. Like,
well, it's actually really beautiful in the summertime, at least from what I've heard. Like, I had a friend's family who does fishing there every summer because it's not like 19 degrees below zero. But, you know, I think you have a point. Like, that's why Deadliest Catch exists, you know? People just want to see how these people even live.
Alaska is just a reminder that you can be a criminal and start over. Like, that's all Alaska is for me. It's like when I watch Deadliest Catch, I'm just like, how it should be called, how many criminals can we fit on a boat and remind them that they can't get a normal job? Like, that's what Deadliest Catch is.
It's just a boat full of society's rejects after they've been to prison.
Like, when I'm watching an episode and one boat captain is just like, we're gonna go out and we're gonna get bigger haul than them, all that says is, I survived 15 years in prison, and instead of signing up for a rehabilitation program, all I did was move to Alaska, and now I'm a captain. Like,
you know what the saddest part is what most people probably take away from that show is just a little bit more appreciation from the frozen fish fillet that they get at their fucking Ralph's. That's it.
Every single time that you get a fish sandwich from Wendy's, a number 11, I just hope you think to yourself, inmates caught this for me on a boat in the middle of Alaska, and people filmed it because
you're just eating that sandwich like I saw you on episode 7.
That's what, dude, honestly, I could solve the justice system right now, but no one's letting me. And that's the problem. Like, people are complaining that there's too many people in prison and people are going for too long. No, dude, let's get some death race going. Like, let's get some, what was that movie where they put all the convicts on an island and they had to, like, they filmed it and the last one standing got to be free, and it was like Triple X or like,
oh yeah, I feel like there's been so many movies with that premise, like battle royale type shit.
I could think of 15 show ideas where it just involves prisoners, and I'm like, they could just walk free afterwards. If you just entertained America for a couple seasons, you can be free. That's all we want. We don't want you to sit in jail forever. And the money from all of these people that would, like, if Deadliest Catch was just like 15 prisoners, one boat, like all the triumph, like survive one winter in Alaska. You know how many more people would watch Deadliest Catch if they knew everyone on that thing was either someone who escaped prison, had just been left prison, or was evading prison? Like, just be more honest.
Yeah.
Like,
they would have to rename the show Deadliest Catchers. Because it's just a bunch of murderers on a fishing boat.
Like if every show had just been more honest and turned itself like a reality shows. Like if Jersey Shore was like 7 inmates, one house, drunk every night, going out and clubbing, I'd be like, fuck yes, dude. I want this guy who's committed 7 crimes to be in a house with 7 other criminals, and I want them to walk throughout the I mean, okay, let's be honest here. Anybody in the beaches of New Jersey is probably already a criminal, but like, let's put some real criminals in this house and let's see what happens. Big Brother, all criminals.
Dude, this is how you get murder on live TV, dude. This is why Deadliest Catch, like, or shows like that are just singularly amazing for this like prisoner pipeline, because you can just send people out there and they can literally hurt no one but themselves because they're literally on a fishing boat in the middle of the Alaskan Ocean and they're just trying to catch shrimps. Like, you know, the safety level aside from them. Is that what they catch on
Deadliest Catch?
I don't even know what they catch. I don't know, man. Or they're crab fishermen, right?
Oh, I honestly, I mean, I zone out because I just think it's so ridiculous that Billy Bob and his crew are out there in like the worst storm ever trying to just catch whatever God knows that they're trying. Like, I honestly think whatever they catch, they just put it in a bucket and they're just like, all right, thank God. And they just come back to shore. Like, I have no idea like what they even... take away at the end of the day. The
bitch fisherman just buys a bunch of frozen fish before he goes to sea and just contributes it as his part of the daily catch. I'm trying to see what they actually catch out there. Oh yeah, like, Alaskan king crab.
Like, I don't even, like, it's, like, I don't eat crab, really, so I don't even know, like, is that better than normal crab? Is that worth risking your life for? I guess.
No,
like,
okay, but
I guess.
Here's the cool thing is, like, you send these prisoners, instead of having them rot in a jail cell, they're actually doing a job to, like, you know, somewhat benefit the economy. They're catching these fish. It's a job that no one really wants to do, so it's like, you committed a crime, you broke the laws of society, now you got to work this shitty job that, you know, people
I'm pretty sure that's what communism do, though. I'm pretty sure that's what they
no
I'm pretty sure in all of these places where like we don't live because we're very thankful, I'm pretty sure they make prisoners work like all day long.
Yeah,
I'm saying
work camps
I'm not saying work camps, everyone. I'm not sitting there saying I agree with what Russia's doing. I'm saying well, maybe I am when I'm saying for my own entertainment, I want to watch prisoners. Yeah. I'm just saying that
I'm just imagining the captain like, inmate 74693, hoist the main mast.
I'm saying that like back in the day, if I was watching like Laguna Beach, I'm just saying if all of them were prisoners, I'd watch that way more. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that like if the prison system wants to start making money, like because maybe they do make a good amount of money, but like let's say that you want to make more money, like let's start making like Ninja Warrior, like let's start having prisoners do it because they're ripped, they're ready to go.
Yeah. That's actually Ninja Warrior Prison Edition where they just set up a course in the yard.
Hey, Ninja Warrior, hit us up about this because I swear to God, if I come up to a season of Prisoner Edition, I'm suing you for everything you have because that's my idea.
This is copywritten right here, baby.
My lawyer is already drafting up everything I need because
you don't see him on this, but he's just already on the podcast watching everything we say. He's just on retainer. Also, it's just Ian's dad.
I've also, dude, there's been some crazy shows, like reality shows that I've been watching where I'm just like Married at First Sight. Like when I watch that show,
God, that's a show. Is that arranged marriage
have you seen that
show?
No, dude, it's literally like where two people who have never seen each other, or they literally meet at the altar. Like that's a real show.
It sounds like an arranged marriage.
No,
or is it like the show reaches out to people and says, "Hey,
yes,
do you want to do this?"
You sign up for the show, and then the show puts you. You should see Nick's face right now. Nick is so upset at the world after hearing about that. Like he's genuinely upset that the world has come to a point where two people sign up on TV to get married. His face is just so
and people
upset.
are like, the divorce rate is so high in America. Like, marriage is so terrible. And then they sign up for a fucking TV show where they marry somebody on air that they've never met? Of course, you idiot.
In all fairness, I don't think those are the people signing up for the show. But I think they're definitely a part.
There's probability of crossover of those two Venn diagrams, man.
No, dude. And so then I'm like watching this show and I like don't have any, like I've never really watched it before. So like I'm kind of, I'm intrigued. And the thing that's funny about this show is it's not like these people are bad looking.
Oh,
like it's
really?
not. No, that's the thing.
You would have expected like overweight, socially impaired.
No, I would say when I think of like a pretty scale, it goes like people that are on The Bachelor, and then like 2 scales down are these people. Like these people are not bad looking people, and so that's where I think they need to have good looking people on the show though, because they if they only had, I mean, it's a train wreck, honestly.
Okay.
That's what...
You know what? The first thing I think, though, is what weird quirks do they have that a good-looking person, like what weird fetishes do they have? Like, is their job that they just run a kitten hotel out of their mom's house?
That's what I know. So, like, when you're watching, but it gets worse, though, because you're like, the best part about the whole show of Married at First Sight is where the families meet each other, and they meet each other at the wedding. Like they meet each other when they're at the altar getting married.
Any of these are dry weddings, it's a disaster. It's a dumpster fire.
And this family, you can tell like each family is just sitting there being like, I really know that my daughter Opa had no chance, but then like when I heard that you're gonna be on Married at First Sight, and then the other family's just like, well, Adam was always like not the best at meeting people, but he was always had like a good person, and you're just like, no, that's not how this works. Like you guys are bummed, and I am just terrified of just like how this is. Like whoever created the show though is like, I am giving them hardcore props, because that's a gold mine. Like in the boardroom, there probably was like no real difficulty pitching this to like a reality like producer being like, dude, we are going to put 2 people together that have never met, and then they're going to get married at the altar, and we're going to film it. And then we're going to film their life, their honeymoon, everything. And it's going to be fucking great. And they didn't have to sell that on to anybody. They just got signed on immediately. That is just like, there's another one that I haven't really watched because I just like, I've been so intrigued with Alaska and that show. But like, I find it really funny. There's a show called 90 Day Fiance where which is like almost like if Married at First Sight,
dude. What? You know what's normal people are out here watching like the latest Amazon Prime shows about hunting Nazis, and you're like, you're sitting in your jammies watching 90 Day Fiance.
The best part too is because I'm just like I feed off the show Catfish. Like when I watched, like, Catfish was the first show where I was just like, dude, there are some weirdos out there, and MTV is out to find every single one of them. Like, MTV was like,
whether it's in handcuffs or just a little interview.
dude, MTV is like a mining company, and they are just trying to suck all of the oil that they can find. And so they're just like, hey, surface. Dude, we are going to find these weirdos, and how do we lure these weirdos out of like hiding? Yeah. And so they're like, okay, here's an idea. And like, this was a real show back in the day. And this was like a show that I was always obsessed with. It was, I forget the name of it, and it's gonna bug me, but it was literally like the premise of the show was that you come on the show with your best friend, and you tell your best friend you're about to go on a date and you're super nervous and you're like trying to plan the perfect date, but then you sabotage that best friend by being like, hey, I've actually always loved you, and so will you go on this date with me? And this show always blew me the fuck away because it was always like this girl named Kendra, and she was like, I have this best friend named Bruce, and me and Bruce do everything together, and me and Bruce are just like the perfect couple, but Bruce doesn't see me like that because Bruce is into attractive girls, so I'm gonna surprise Bruce on this magical date. And so then they get to like the carnival, and Bruce is like, all right, we'll have a great date with this person, like super stoked that you got on this show. And then she's like, wait, Bruce. And then Bruce turns around and is like, yeah. And then she goes, ever since that you and me like went onto that pumpkin patch and we found the same pumpkin, and we were joking about how two pumpkins could never look the same, but then we fucking found one. And then I looked you in the eyes and you said, I gotta go, my girlfriend's calling me. I always knew that you and me would be together. And so then I hired this MTV camera crew to trick you into thinking that this was a date with some guy named Brian. But the whole time I was thinking about you, Bruce, and there was no Brian. And I always named him a B name because I can't stop thinking about you. And then Bruce goes like literally like 95% of the time, Bruce goes, yeah, I'm like not really into this. And then the person goes on the date by themselves, and they're just sitting there like at the fair eating a corn dog, just being like, I just knew that Bruce didn't feel that way, but I was hoping that like he would turn around and change his mind when he saw this. And you're just like, what the fuck?
Dude, you would think like the producers of that show would just spare the person that pain and just like not go through with the episode and just let them like, you know, lay that aborted baby to rest. But
this is what let me tell you straight up, if they brought that show back and they were like, hey, Ian, how can we get the most clicks? Because it would obviously be an internet show because TV would not pick this show up anymore. So it'd be like Facebook would be like, hey, we have an internet series where somebody like tricks their best friend into trying to think that they're with somebody else, but they want them. So what I would do just to really screw, because you know that like you're never going back to that friendship, right? Like that friendship, like you've ruined you and your best friends like world. Like if you guys were best friends and somebody didn't see you that way, like you've just destroyed everything.
It's one thing to ask your friend out that you like. It's another thing to do it on fucking MTV.
Yeah. For the whole so world. What I would do personally, if I'm going to destroy this, I'm going to destroy it with a bang.
Oh yeah.
So first of all, I'm making you and that friend drive like 5 hours out of town. Like you have to drive to some apple picking farm like 3 to 5 hours away. And then that way, that whole drive home, they're just like, what the fuck is that? Like, why would you do this to me? Like that's the longest drive.
Just then, stick a camera in that car.
Oh yeah, that's what I want. I don't want the like I don't want that sad fuck who's just like sitting there crying, wishing that I want the guy who's just or girl that's just so mad that they just destroyed that friendship. Like I want to follow that person around for like a week after that is aired, just to like see how their life has just changed. Like they're just deleting stuff, like they're just ripping stuff up.
They just have a bathroom bin trash can that's just a fire of all their Polaroids of that friendship, all the notes and birthday cards just up in flames.
Exactly. I mean, when I watch this trash TV, like it just reminds me how good my life is. Like if I really need like a good pick me up, like I'll put on this trash TV all day long because it's just always something that I mean, it's just this dumpster fire that I can't look away, and I just love it because it reminds me how good my life is. Because I'm not going to sabotage my best friend on Coney Island with a hot dog being like, hey, I think I secretly have always loved you. Like, do you feel the same way about me?
Yep.
Like, I mean, dude, honestly, though, I've been trying so hard to watch. Like, people get so obsessed with TV shows. You know what I mean? Like, I had never watched Breaking Bad. I never watched I never got into those shows. Like I never got into like Vampire Diaries. Like I never got into like all of these hit TV shows that people are just so fucking obsessed with. And so you're like sitting there and it just blows my mind, dude, when people talk about how obsessed they are with these shows. I don't understand. So, we just want to thank you for listening to this 4th installment of Quit Your Bitchin' podcast. Nick's going to go through a little bit of what we have going on with social media and what we've been trying to do. iTunes has been taking a little bit longer than we thought to figure that whole thing out. But we are on Stitcher. We are on YouTube. We will hopefully be on Spotify within the next coming days and iTunes. We don't know yet, though. With the coronavirus, I'm pretty sure things have been pushed back for being approved and whatnot. We are going to start setting up an Instagram. And then Nick can kind of talk about that stuff because he's more of the tech guy. I'm the diva with the ideas, and Nick's the producing power. So Nick, if you want to just sign us off with what they can do to help us out.
Yeah. That's pretty much the gist of it. We're trying to get our podcast here on all the platforms, so it's easiest for you guys to find us on whatever platform you like to frequent for your podcasts, whether that's Spotify or Apple Podcast or Stitcher or Google Play. Obviously YouTube, there's no barrier to entry. You can just upload anything anytime. So that's kind of where our stuff is going to be up for the moment, the easiest place to find it. Like Ian said, we have our first episode up on Stitcher already, and this one will be up there pretty soon as well. So just keep an eye out for that stuff. We'll keep you guys updated as our content gets out there on these various platforms. And like and subscribe wherever you're at. Give us a rating. Tell us that it sucks. Send us your hate mail. Send us DMs of, anything, funny memes, anything you want us to talk about. We would love to hear from you, interact with you. So, thanks for listening. Ian, do you have a shout out for a special commenter?
Oh yeah, shout out Steve Frost. He is our first hate mail. He is our first everything. We knew we made it when Steve Frost took time out of his day to tell us how shitty our podcast is. So I want to shout this whole episode out to you, Steve Frost. Mm-hmm. And I want you to know that I hold grudges like no other. So you will be hearing from Steve Frost, and I will be hunting him down as the days come out. So thank you, Steve Frost, for reminding us that we are doing what we love, which is ruining your day.
Yeah. I just want to say, Steve Frost, you're like our dad. You're the only person that we want approval from, and you're the only person who never gives it.
I will keep doing this podcast until Steve Frost accepts us. And once he does, I will quit.
Yeah.
I will hold you to that, Steve Frost.
If you guys want to go to our first video, Steve Frost left us a very warm and caring message in the comment section. Yeah.
Thank you, Steve Frost.
All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in. This is Quit Your Bitchin'.